Happy August, everyone. The summer is quickly moving along, so let us all enjoy this really beautiful weather we've been having. We've been very busy here at the cathedral these past few weeks with all kinds of weddings and memorial services and funerals. This past weekend, we have had 3 weddings and a large funeral. And in the midst of it, our Indigenous brothers and sisters held a very peaceful gathering at what would soon be called Heritage Park, which we still call Columbus Circle. You know, with all the divisions we have in our world today, it was truly a very peaceful weekend. A huge wedding happening inside the cathedral and a very peaceful gathering outside of people grieving the horrors that took place at residential homes where bodies of buried children have recently been discovered. Our own bishop, Lucia, spoke. He said some very powerful words. He said, "We apologize and we weep with you." Most of us were not living at the time this happened, but we can certainly own the pain of our Indigenous brothers and sisters and weep with them for the horrors that took place. We have a very long tradition of weeping, beginning in the First Testament, the Old Testament, with the Psalms. Walter Brueggemann, who wrote a book praying the Psalms, writes, "Psalms of lament are powerful expressions of the experience of disorientation. They express the pain, grief, dismay, and anger that life is not good at all times. They also refuse to settle for things as they are, and they so assert hope." Listening to our brothers and sisters gathered around the circle in front of the cathedral, I was able to reflect on the peoples throughout the centuries who prayed the Psalms because of the pain they experienced. It is a way to grieve. This past week, Richard Rohr wrote an amazing reflection on grieving. He wrote, "Most of us have not been told that we could and should complain to God, but lamentation might be the most honest form of prayer. It takes great trust and patience to remain stunned, sad, and silenced by the tragedy and absurdity of human events." Barbara Holmes sees lamentation as a healing practice in the midst of crisis contemplation. She writes, "Communal lament is important for several reasons. It wakes us up, and in doing so, makes us mindful of the pain of our neighbors, who no longer can go about business as usual when the women begin to wail. Their keening rattles both marrow and bone. Who can remain in a stupor with all the yelling? But lament is important for another reason. The collective wail reminds us that we are not alone. The sheer power and resonance of a grief-stricken chorus reminds us that we are beings of quantum potential. We still have agency in every cell of our being, enough to survive, even this. So lament, as Rohr tells us, allows the pain to escape and stitches us to our neighbors. We are called to weep with those who weep and mourn with those who mourn. Our tears are our prayers when we can't speak, a baptism of sorts, a salty healing, a sign of our vulnerability, and also a liturgical response to violence. In the midst of all the divisions in our world, in the midst of all the suffering of so many peoples, there was a wedding last weekend, a great celebration in the cathedral. There was also lamentation and weeping in front of the cathedral. It was all very peaceful, all very human. We celebrated with one family. We acknowledged the pain of another family of peoples. This can happen in our world. There is hope. Let us celebrate together when we need to celebrate. let us lament and weep when the horrors of life cause us to grieve. Grieving is a good thing. Let us do it together, and that will give us hope. Have a wonderful August. Have a good week, everybody.